Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lead Sites Orientation series. My name is Kelvin Krupiak, and now we're going to talk about Instafarm. So if you've made your way to this video, then chances are you've just finished watching the Squeeze Page app video, which is perfect because the Squeeze Page app is all about getting you leads in the short term. I talked about how effective it is to pair a Squeeze Page with a Facebook ad, and that type of paid strategy is great for generating momentum in the short term. Now, to balance the effectiveness of a short-term strategy, you also need an effective long-term strategy. And that's exactly where Instafarm pages come into play. So now, before I jump into the interface of the app itself, let's take a look at some successful Instafarm pages. Now, here's an example of an Instafarm page that has been completely filled out, and in this particular example, this client chose to use the Instafarm layout for creating a neighborhood guide. And that's certainly something you can do. You can also use these on something much more broad, so Salt Lake City, for example, instead of just a specific neighborhood. Now you'll see at the very top of the page, you have the opportunity to start out with a video. You can pull a video from YouTube. That's totally fine as long as it's relevant to the area. And no, you don't have to use a video on the page. If you choose not to use a video, then this section will be blank and it will just have the title of the page followed by the sign up to learn more section right here. And if we scroll down below, you'll see just below the video, you have your first text entry section. So this is generally where you would provide intro information about the area that you're choosing to cover. It could be historical information, it could be stats that you think are most relevant to the area, it could be crime rates, it could be whatever you feel is most relevant to start the reader off with. And just below this first section, you then have your image gallery right here, and each image can be expanded. And finally, below the image gallery, you have two more sections where you can add text about whatever you feel is most relevant. So you can see in this specific instance, Daniel chose to go with subdivision amenities and accessibility. And finally, below the text you see here, you can display all the listings in the area itself as well. Now, I wanted to show you that so you're somewhat familiar with the layout of an Instafarm page before we actually go in and look at the template and how to actually put all that information where it needs to go. So now let's go ahead and jump into the Instafarm app. And the first thing you're going to see, very similar to the Squeeze Page setup, is the list of Instafarm pages that you would have already created. Now, you haven't created any Instafarm pages just yet, but what you will see are the pages that you recommended that our team put on your website for you. And those are the pages that you can start with if you feel those are most relevant. You can also add new pages if you would like, and then those can be added to your menu if you want. There's no limit to the number you can add to your menu. We obviously recommend that you keep it somewhat minimal though, because if you have a huge list on the menu options, whenever someone hovers over featured areas, it will look less appealing if the list goes all the way beyond the page limits. If you're not sure how to get those pages onto your menu, then remember, always reach out to our support team and they can help you get those pages linked up and organized how you want them. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on Add New, and here's where the template starts. You can see what we're going to start with is the title of the page itself, followed by the location, the option to add the video link, and then whatever you want the menu name to be. And then you can check the box to decide whether or not this is something you want to have added to your menu. And then you have various titles and subheadings that you can play around with as you scroll down below. And here's that first text section. So this is where you could add some historical information about the community itself, or maybe whatever stats you feel like is most important for the user to read right up front. And just below it, you'll see where you can add images for your image gallery. If you click on this icon, it's going to open up your media library, very similar to how you would add media on a Squeeze page. And if we go ahead and just select an image, there we go. So the image is going to load up right here, and you can add any number of images that you want here to the gallery. Now, as you'll remember with the page we just looked at a second ago, just below the image gallery, you have the option to add more text to cover any other information you feel is most relevant. And remember, the text sections below the image gallery are broken into two columns. So this is the column on the left-hand side, and the one below is going to be the column on the right-hand side. And finally, at the very bottom, we give you the option to include a call to action of some kind in the footer. Now, my personal recommendation would be to have a quick, brief call to action, schedule a call if you're interested or if you have more questions. And then in the text section, also keep this relatively short because you don't have a lot of room to work with. And basically, you just want to get a quick message across as easy as possible. And just below the footer, you can see the extra information and IDX shortcode section. And this is where you choose how to display the listings that you want for a particular area. Now, in the upcoming IDX videos, we're going to show you exactly how to create a custom market. So maybe you want to display a list of single-story homes, or maybe just homes with pools, or specific features that you want to highlight. And just so you have some exposure to that, that would be using this icon right here, the Optima Express Shortcodes icon. You can also see at the very bottom of the page, we have another paths integration. So any leads that are coming in on your Instafarm pages, you can designate that those leads be set up on a specific path. And I think it's important to do so. You don't want to be sending out the same generic auto response email to people looking on your Instafarm pages. Because if you break down that process, people looking on your Instafarm pages are researching a general area to buy, presumably. So they are probably going to be buyers. You want to set them up on a buyer-focused campaign. And it's also important to understand that Instafarm pages are very good at providing information about an area. So people are probably still in the research phase of a specific area. They're not looking at individual properties just yet. They're still trying to decide what area they want to live in. So take note of that and take advantage of the Paths app to set up people with the type of content that's going to be most useful to them. Now, if we scroll down just a little further, you're going to see the Find Me app is also here within the Instafarm page section as well. Now, we were somewhat introduced to the Find Me app when we went through the Squeeze Page app because that's where we would designate a specific SEO headline and an SEO description. Likewise, here on the Instafarm page, you would designate a specific keyword for your page. So you could see the example there, La Jolla beachfront properties. That might be what you want this page showing up for in a Google search, for example. So for me, I'm in Albuquerque. Maybe I want my focus keyword to be Northeast Heights homes in Albuquerque for sale. That could be the type of search that I want this page to show up on. And that's definitely something to think about. What type of search do you want to show up for? Now, the most important thing is to always think about how can I make this the most in-depth resource possible for my specific area. And second to that, I would say start thinking about what type of search you want to show up for and try to cater to that search accordingly. The world of SEO can be extremely confusing and convoluted, but what we've done is taken this app and simplified the key principles that you need to focus on. That being designate a keyword, which gives you a specific focus for your overall content, as well as an idea of the type of search you should be showing up on. The keyword density, which is basically where we're tracking how many times the keyword was used in the overall text volume of the page, as well as links on your page. So one of the things you want to do with your Instafarm pages is add links to other helpful resources on your website. So maybe a specific blog post, maybe another Instafarm page, whatever it may be. And finally, other Google-friendly tips. So use an image in your content, for example, and that's where the gallery comes into play. Google really does like to see media-rich pages when ranking for specific searches. You can also see different ways to use your keyword. Now, there's other resources that are available from EasyAgentPro that specifically relate to SEO. We're not going to do one video in the orientation series that's specifically devoted to the subject itself because we do have a lot of other resources. So if SEO is something you want to take the time to dive into, we can make sure to connect you with those resources. Just reach out to our support team and say that SEO is something you want to learn more about, and we'll be sure to send you out the resources you need to make that happen. Now, any changes that you make to your page itself or in the keyword section here, for example, they're all going to be tracked right here, but also at the very top of the page, you'll notice on the right-hand side, you have this SEO score indicator. So the greater balance you have between links on your page, text on the page, and media being displayed, then this SEO score is going to continue to rise and reflect how optimized this page is for Google. Also, as of right now, there is no auto-save feature when you're editing these pages, so when you do make edits, be sure to click on Save Draft, so any changes that you make are saved before you navigate away from this page. Also, just like the squeeze pages, it's important to set a featured image, so if you go down below the Publish button, you'll see Set a Background Image. If you click on that, it's going to open up your media library, and you can make sure a specific image is being designated as your featured image for the page. So now this is the image that Facebook's going to associate with the page, and it will display when you decide to post your Instafarm page on Facebook or any other social network. And that's basically all there is to it, guys. There's a lot of other things that you can start getting familiar with and play around with in the toolbar section here. You can see different formatting options, font size, font color. You can also switch from visual to text, so maybe you're a little more comfortable and tech savvy when it comes to basic HTML and embedding specific features on a page. This is where you can make those specific adjustments happen. But that's basically all there is to it when it comes to the Instafarm pages themselves. It's definitely something we would encourage you to do. Pairing something like an Instafarm page with something like a squeeze page is one of the best ways to balance out a long-term strategy, which is focused on organic search results, for example, with a short-term strategy like the squeeze page Facebook combination. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and we will see you in the next one.